A surprising drama, full of intrigue, unfolded behind the scenes in the lead-up to the much-anticipated charity gala in Windsor. The Duke of Sussex made a desperate attempt at reconciliation, sending a personal message to King Charles. Insiders described the letter as concise but filled with sincere emotion and hope for reconciliation. Harry expressed his readiness to travel to the UK without Meghan for a private meeting with the family, viewing it as a gesture of goodwill. However, the response from Buckingham Palace was swift and unequivocal. King Charles rejected his son's request without providing further explanation. The press office remained silent, but sources close to the monarch hinted that the event's format did not allow for tension, and it was not a place for symbolic gestures or rewriting history. The situation caused widespread public outcry, as the Foundation's evening was intended as a landmark event, symbolizing a new era for King Charles as a patron of environmental initiatives. Among the invited guests were prominent members of Parliament, leaders in science, art, and the environmental movement, as well as Prince William, Catherine, and Princess Beatrice. Harry's absence from the guest list was not just noticeable, it was conspicuously emphasized. His name was not even mentioned among potential attendees, raising many questions and speculations about the future of relations within the royal family. What will be the outcome of this conflict, and what consequences will it entail for all involved parties? Insiders close to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex claim that Prince Harry perceived the refusal to resume official duties as a deep personal insult. After the dramatic events of early 2025, when the king's health became a serious concern, the prince harbored hope for a possible warming of relations with his family. Harry's February visit to London, his first return home in a long time for a brief visit to his father in the hospital, seemed to him a symbol of impending change. Although the meeting with the king lasted only about half an hour, Harry, as became clear from his subsequent interviews, saw this step as a harbinger of reconciliation. However, Buckingham Palace representatives emphasized that this visit was more an exception than a signal for reconciliation. Moreover, according to those close to the court, the king views his son's recent actions as incompatible with the concept of trust. Particularly painful for the monarch has been Harry's persistent legal battle with the UK Home Office regarding his personal security. This step, according to the palace, creates an impression of open pressure on a system of which the prince is no longer a part. King Charles's public rejection, though without an official statement, effectively sent a clear message. The idea that Harry can integrate into royal life at his discretion is no longer being considered. What will be the next step in this complex game of thrones? As reported by the Daily Mail, citing informed sources, even Princess Anne's attempt to influence the king's decision proved fruitless. Her reasoned request was tactfully declined by the monarch himself, indicating the firmness of his stance. In the context of unfolding events, King Charles's speech resonated strongly in response to recent disagreements. Although his younger son's name was not mentioned during the formal event, the monarch emphasized the enduring value of family ties based on principles of trust, loyalty, and steadfastness, in contrast to fleeting infatuations and impulsive decisions. Such statements were widely interpreted by many analysts as an unambiguous reference to the situation with the Sussexes. The media reaction was immediate. Tabloids were emblazoned with screaming headlines declaring "Game over" for Prince Harry, while authoritative publications like The Telegraph and The Times stated that the monarch no longer saw possibilities for his son's return to the family without fulfilling certain conditions and accepting existing rules. Further confirmation of this view was the Duke of Sussex's absence from official photographs of the event, which featured all key members of the royal family. Thus, His desire to return, even symbolically, ended in complete failure. However, the most remarkable aspect is the form in which this occurred. Not through a loud scandal or public accusations, but through institutional ignoring. Not a single official statement, not a single photograph, not a single mention. Only an eloquent and unambiguous absence. Court gatherings have always conveyed more information than official communiques. The guest list, seating protocol, order of appearance. Every detail is meticulously planned and imbued with meaning. This is why the Duke of Sussex's absence from the charity gala became an unspoken, yet very loud signal. Prince Harry has been definitively excluded from the active structure of royal power. Within the majestic walls of Windsor Castle, a truly grand event unfolded, gathering the elite of British society, aristocracy, prominent figures in science, and renowned representatives of culture. Prince William, accompanied by the captivating Catherine, was among the first to arrive at the celebration, personally greeting the attendees. With this gesture, he seemed to emphasize his pivotal role in strengthening the bond between the monarchy and the people. Among the brilliant guests were Princess Beatrice, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, and even the rarely seen Duke of Kent, all those who maintain unwavering loyalty to the British crown. However, two notable figures were absent from this glittering assembly, Harry and Meghan. While Meghan's absence, having not attended such events since 2020, was entirely expected, the conspicuous ignoring of Harry, who had expressed a desire to be present, sounded like a final chord in the overture of hopes for his possible return to the family. Moreover, the event programs, elegantly laid out on the tables, contained no mention of the Duke of Sussex, not even in the context of his past services in the military, environmental protection, or as a member of the Royal Foundation. Against the backdrop of this magnificent evening, where every detail emphasized solemnity and unity, Harry's absence acquired an almost symbolic theatrical significance, as if highlighting the chasm that separated him from the royal family. The Charity Foundation, patronized by the king, represents something more than just a philanthropic organization. It is a key element of King Charles's public image as the reigning monarch. Through this foundation, the most significant projects in sustainable development, environmental protection, and architectural heritage restoration are implemented. Prince Harry was once a prominent supporter and active participant in these initiatives. Now, however, his name has virtually disappeared from mentions. Throughout the week leading up to the Foundation's important event, British media actively speculated about Harry's possible appearance. Some publications even hinted that he might be granted a place at a private banquet. Nevertheless, as reliable sources revealed, these discussions were halted by the monarch's personal instruction. Despite the emotional complexity of the situation, King Charles made a firm decision not to compromise the symbolic significance of the event by including those who prefer to operate outside established rules. This step demonstrates the king's adherence to principles and his unwillingness to make compromises that could undermine the monarchy's authority. Public reaction on social media was mixed and multifaceted. Some users expressed sympathy, asking whether he should be given another chance. Others took a stricter stance, recalling years of turmoil and expressing bewilderment at his desire to return to the negotiating table as if nothing had happened. Comments under official photographs of royal family members were filled with discussions. Who was present? Who was not? And what might have been the reasons for their absence? These discussions reflect the public's deep interest in the private lives of the monarchs and their relationships. Prince William's behavior also attracted press attention. Despite the absence of direct comments about his brother, in his brief speech, he expressed gratitude to those who stood shoulder to shoulder during this momentous time for the country. According to analysts, this phrasing deliberately excluded those who are no longer part of the monarchical structure, regardless of blood ties. Symbolic was the scene with Queen Camilla, who, according to eyewitnesses, spent a few minutes chatting with Princess Charlotte and Prince George, William's children. Photographers captured their laughter and warm glances. This image instantly spread in the media under headlines proclaiming the dawn of a new era. It is noteworthy that no one mentioned these children's relation to Prince Harry. The absence of even informal discussions about the Duke of Sussex's possible participation definitively solidified the existing state of affairs. The monarchy continues its path without him, not as a result of exile, but as a natural course of events. Time, circumstances, fatigue, and public opinion seem to have erased one of the lines from the overall portrait. Former hopes for reconciliation, peaceful negotiations, and family therapy dissipated in the atmosphere of Windsor Castle, where every greeting and handshake became part of a new reality. The monarchy without Harry appears stable, confident, and, most importantly, united. Behind the scenes of King Charles's decision to deny Prince Harry participation in the charity event lies not merely personal animosity, but a strategically calculated maneuver reflecting Buckingham Palace's new policy. This step demonstrates the monarchy's pursuit of unity and stability during a period of change. Within the highest echelons of the British monarchy, a decision is maturing for an irreversible distancing from the Duke of Sussex, whose behavior, in the reigning monarch's view, stands in irreconcilable contradiction to the immutable foundations of the royal institution. Insider sources close to the royal family report that the question of Prince Harry's possible return to court duties was raised as early as spring, after his brief visit in February when the king was undergoing medical treatment. At that moment, some family members, particularly Princess Anne and the Duke of Edinburgh, harbored hopes for a possible compromise and restoration of former unity. However, according to reliable sources, recent events have only strengthened the monarch's opinion on the necessity of maintaining distance from the estranged prince. Harry's incessant legal battles against the UK government are perceived as a direct threat to the authority of the reigning dynasty. One of the key factors influencing the king's final decision was the high-profile legal dispute with the UK Home Office, in which the Duke of Sussex is challenging the refusal to provide him with permanent state security. According to the prince, this lawsuit is dictated solely by security. Considerations, given his status as a member of the royal bloodline. However, according to influential figures at the palace, this step should be regarded as another attempt to exert pressure on the monarchy, a form of public blackmail, and an endeavor to dictate his terms, despite no longer being a working member of the royal family. Such actions, in the king's opinion, are absolutely unacceptable and only deepen the chasm between the Duke of Sussex and his family. King Charles's close confidants, such as Sir Edward Young and Baroness Wharton, who previously acted as delicate mediators in sensitive matters concerning Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have now adopted a firm and uncompromising stance. According to information published in the authoritative newspaper, The Times, it was they who strongly recommended that the monarch cease sending contradictory signals to the public to avoid further destabilization of the situation. The era of uncertainty and ambiguity has come to an end, stated a high-ranking insider. Either the rules are the same for all members of the royal family, or the monarchy risks losing its integrity and legitimacy in the eyes of the public. Despite deep paternal feelings, the king found his advisor's arguments highly persuasive. He decided to follow his inner circle's recommendations and henceforth refrain from any actions that could be interpreted as a sign of weakness or concession. Even personal messages from Prince Harry, it has been learned, are now routed through official channels, precluding direct contact with the monarch. Moreover, significant changes are observed in Buckingham Palace's information policy. Mentions of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are gradually disappearing even from neutral materials. Previously, despite existing tensions, Harry and Meghan's names appeared in annual reports of the Royal Foundation as former patrons of certain charitable programs. This year, their names were completely excluded from the list. Even archival pages on the official website have undergone a thorough revision. Links to the couple's activities have been moved to a section dedicated to historical events. Such a step indicates not just a silent break, but a carefully planned strategy to clear the information space and displace the memory of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex from the official history of the royal family. Buckingham Palace unequivocally signals no room for compromise. No signs of reconciliation, nostalgic gestures, or attempts to restore the past. If individual family members refuse to comply with established rules and traditions, what is happening ceases to be a private matter and escalates into a question of protecting the image and reputation of the royal family as a global brand. A key moment emphasizing the depth of the rift was the rejection of an offer for a meeting between the brothers. According to information leaked to the press, Prince Harry's representatives attempted to initiate a dialogue with Prince William in April, proposing a confidential meeting without media involvement. However, this initiative went unanswered, indicating an unwillingness to reconcile. Insider sources claim that Prince William no longer sees any point in negotiations, sharing his father King Charles's position that the matter is closed. Now, any communication, if it occurs at all, will be exclusively through official channels, precluding personal contact and mutual understanding. Even among those royal family members who previously held a more restrained and conciliatory stance, a noticeable distancing is observed. Princess Eugenie, who previously maintained contact with the Sussexes, has recently avoided events where Prince Harry might be present. Princess Beatrice, despite her personal fondness for Harry, chose to publicly distance herself from him, demonstrating loyalty to the institution of the monarchy. Such unanimity indicates the formation of a consolidated opinion regarding Prince Harry. The family, it seems, has reached a consensus. He is not exiled, but he is also not part of their immediate circle. Prince Harry's desire for some autonomy and freedom from rigid constraints, which he demonstrated in recent years, proved to be illusory. Buckingham Palace no longer accepts half measures or compromise solutions, demanding full submission to established rules. Perhaps the most eloquent confirmation of this firm stance is the complete silence from the palace. The absence of denials, comments, or any attempts at explanation speaks volumes. It is in this silence that the final decision lies, which, though not officially announced, is definitive and not subject to revision. While the royal family appears to be definitively closing the door on Prince Harry, the silence of Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, is equally surprising. Contrary to expectations, she is not rushing to publicly support her husband, refraining from any statements in his defense or comments regarding King Charles's decision. Such distancing appears to be not merely a coincidence, but rather a carefully considered strategic move. After all, it was Meghan, following their move in 2020, who initiated high-profile statements and shaped the media narrative. She was behind the scandalous interview with Oprah Winfrey, appearances at various summits, podcast launches, and documentary productions. However, her public activity has significantly decreased recently. Currently, the Archewell Foundation's press office limits itself to neutral news about educational projects and culinary events. There is no mention of the royal family, no hints of a possible return to the UK. According to sources close to the couple in California, the decision to remain silent was made consciously. Meghan, it seems, has concluded that further involvement in the British royal drama only damages her reputation in the United States, where she aims to build a long-term career as a media producer, entrepreneur, and public figure. Meghan Markle, striving for new horizons, launched a project dedicated to feminism and inclusive leadership, marking her ambition to transform from a controversial figure associated with the British royal family into an independent and influential personality. Meghan's absence by Prince Harry's side is becoming increasingly noticeable, especially amidst rising tensions between him and Buckingham Palace. It is quite telling that in Harry's official request to attend the charity event, Meghan's name was not even mentioned. Moreover, according to information published in The Telegraph, the prince specifically emphasized that his wife's presence at the event would be undesirable. This statement was interpreted by many as a sign of Harry's own awareness of the tension his wife causes within the highest circles of the Windsor dynasty. Behind the scenes, disagreements between the couple regarding their future strategy are increasingly discussed. While Harry, it seems, seeks a partial reconciliation with his family, Meghan, according to experts, aims for complete independence and autonomy. Her silence in this situation is viewed as a tactical move, allowing her to avoid criticism, maintain distance, and perhaps not be associated with her husband's potential failures. In recent months, a clearer division in the couple's activities has been observed. Harry increasingly attends sports and charity events alone, while Meghan focuses on her producing projects and developing her personal brand. Different schedules, diverging priorities, and reduced joint public appearances are becoming increasingly evident. Even the couple's press offices have stopped publishing their joint photographs, which was previously common practice. A particularly telling episode was Meghan Markle's recent appearance at the premiere of a documentary film on women's rights in Los Angeles. Notably, she was accompanied only by her mother, Doria Ragland. In her interactions with journalists, the Duchess of Sussex repeatedly emphasized that every person has the right to independently define the boundaries of their life and personal freedom. This statement, according to analysts, was addressed not only to the general public, but also directly to Prince Harry. All of this suggests that Meghan has no plans to return to the sphere of influence of the British monarchy. Even if Prince Harry seeks to maintain at least a formal connection with his family, the Duchess has long been oriented towards a different value system. For her, the past is a closed chapter, and any interaction with it could lead to new upheavals and negativity. Such a position elicits mixed reactions from the public. Some consider it heartless and self-serving, while others, on the contrary, see strategic foresight in it. It is clear that while Harry and Meghan seemed like a united team in 2021, we now see two independent figures whose interests align only superficially. The Duchess's significant silence during moments of peak conflict tension is not a sign of surrender, but rather an eloquent warning. This signal unequivocally indicates her final decision to exit the game. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle decided to move to California, Hollywood saw it as the harbinger of a new era. Major film studios, streaming giants, and television networks lined up, offering tempting contracts and promising projects. Companies like Netflix, Apple, and Amazon Studios, and reportedly even Disney, showed interest in the celebrity couple, seeing their union as a unique blend of British aristocracy and Hollywood charm. However, by 2025, it became clear that the initial enthusiasm had begun to wane, and the endless scandals had tired the public. The first warning sign was the termination of their contract with Spotify in 2023. The podcasts, which initially received tens of millions of dollars in investment, did not meet the platform's expectations. Company representatives did not shy away from critical assessments of the content's quality. One Spotify executive emphasized that celebrity status is not a guarantee of success, and the project itself was executed carelessly. Then came Netflix's turn. The documentary series about Harry and Meghan showed impressive initial viewership figures, garnering millions of views in the first days after its premiere. However, by the second episode, audience interest began to wane. Instead of the expected sensational revelations, the public saw the same old complaints and grievances. Netflix did not terminate the contract, but significantly reduced funding for new projects, limiting itself to modest support for Meghan's charitable initiatives. Even the release of Prince Harry's new book in early 2025 went largely unnoticed by the general public. The initial print run of this work was half that of his previous ones, and critical reviews were restrained and lacked the former enthusiasm. The influential New York Times noted, "Harry has once again faded into the shadows. But this time, it's not a dramatic plot, but a harsh reality." The problem faced by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex proved to be much deeper than a mere decline in public interest. In the minds of many, Harry and Meghan had become a symbol of a stale narrative, attractive, famous, but constantly expressing dissatisfaction. The initial idea of escaping limitations transformed into a story of tired accusers. Time and public opinion were relentless, and even the most devoted fans began to tire of the endless repetitions. Public events in California and New York, where the Duke and Duchess previously drew full houses, now increasingly took place in half-empty venues. Their appearances at prestigious forums, such as TED and Women Leaders Summits, were no longer nationally televised, and the red carpets, once hospitably open to them, became more selective in their choices. The Hollywood elite, always sensitive to potential reputational risks, began to gradually distance themselves from the Sussexes. Actors who had previously openly expressed their support for the couple now preferred to refrain from any comments. Agencies became more cautious in their statements. Even the famous Oprah Winfrey, who was once Harry and Meghan's main media supporter, now avoided public association with them. The fading of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's former popularity in the public consciousness is not complete oblivion, but it serves as undeniable evidence of their loss of status as significant figures in the media landscape. The ex-Duke and Duchess of Sussex ceased to be generators of news and sensations, no longer causing the former excitement in the media. Their story, having come full circle, entered a phase where the public lost interest in their tribulations, as they no longer caused surprise. Particularly painful for Prince Harry is the fact that at the very moment he sought to return to British society, the American audience began to show signs of cooling towards him. As a result, he found himself in a kind of vacuum. His views seemed too conservative for progressive America, yet at the same time, he represents a source of problems for traditional Great Britain. Analysts predict that the further development of the situation will depend on a radical change in strategy. Either Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will redefine their public role and find new ways of self-expression, or they will definitively disappear from the front pages of leading publications. Hollywood, like Buckingham Palace, has made it clear that dramatic events have tired the public, and complaints about injustice no longer attract attention or bring dividends. Against the backdrop of waning interest in the United States and complete ignoring by Buckingham Palace, it became clear that Prince Harry's status as an integral part of the royal family has been definitively lost. Formally, legally, his title remains, and he still holds the title of Duke of Sussex. However, he has effectively ceased to be part of the monarchy's mechanism, no longer participating in its life. Currently, he is no longer a prince in the usual sense of the word, but rather a media figure, a solitary individual who has lost connection with his roots. In recent weeks, British media have conducted a series of journalistic investigations analyzing the transformation of Harry's status on official platforms. His personal page on Royal UK, previously detailing his activities, is now reduced to a few lines without mention of current projects. In official documents, he is no longer considered a potential representative of the monarchy. He is not involved in any state initiatives, is not invited to royal councils, and does not participate in the development of strategic plans. However, most telling is the ringing silence. There are no replies to his correspondence. There is no official statement from King Charles. And Prince William avoids any public mention of him. Even in family birthday greetings, where just a few years ago neutral phrases expressing good wishes were heard, there is now a gaping void. His name seems to be deliberately erased from the public space. Psychologists and public relations specialists characterize this as soft isolation, a strategy in which an undesirable element is not formally exiled, but gradually excluded from all spheres of influence. Such a tactic avoids open confrontation, but creates a sense of complete helplessness in the isolated individual. Harry found himself in this peculiar trap, where his presence is ignored and his voice remains unheard. In the once unshakable relationship between Prince Harry and the British royal family, a tangible rift has emerged. Earl Charles Spencer, Prince Harry's uncle, declined to discuss the prospects of his return to the monarchical family. His brief statement, widely reported by The Independent, sounded like a final verdict. Some bridges burn irrevocably, indicating a deep and possibly irreparable break. An additional stroke to the picture of alienation was Harry's absence from the solemn ceremony dedicated to the 75th anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's ascension to the throne. Despite the lack of official invitations, an unambiguous signal leaked from the palace corridors. The event was exclusively for working members of the family. No official explanations followed, as if further words were unnecessary, emphasizing the distance between the prince and his family. The British public, which previously had mixed views on the Sussexes' actions, increasingly perceives Harry as a figure who has lost his influence. A YouGov sociological poll showed that 64% of respondents are convinced that the prince should no longer represent the country under any circumstances, indicating a decline in his public support. Particularly telling is the drop in trust in Harry among young people aged 18 to 25 to a record low of no more than 21%, indicating a loss of connection with the future generation of Britons. A similar trend is observed in the United States. The public shows signs of fatigue from the constant attention to the prince's persona. Media outlets are cautious, and major brands are wary. The prince has virtually disappeared from advertising campaigns, and any projects associated with his name are invariably accompanied by the clarification, "Former member of the British royal family," emphasizing his changed status. In the quiet of the back rooms, without pompous announcements, a new persona for Prince Harry is emerging. He is no longer just a member of the royal family, not a rebel seeking change, and not even a reformer. Rather, he has transformed into a character, solitary and alienated, as if woven from media stories where the narrative has ended and the hero has no place left on stage. The final act of this drama played out in complete silence, without farewell speeches or a falling curtain. Only a dim light in the empty hall indicates that the performance has concluded. The story in which Prince Harry played a leading role reached a turning point where the chasm between him and the British crown became insurmountable. His attempt to return to the family through participation in a charity event was met with a decisive refusal from King Charles personally. This verdict was not merely a personal rejection, but a clear signal to the entire world. The monarchy no longer considers Harry part of its active structure. The symbolism of what transpired was amplified by the contrast between those who were invited and those who remained outside the hall. While Prince William, Kate Middleton, and other key figures demonstrated unity, Harry's name was not even mentioned. His status was seemingly erased, not by a resounding declaration, but by an all-encompassing silence. At the same time, another trend gained momentum. Meghan Markle's increasing distancing, her wait-and-see tactic, refusal to engage in disputes, and reorientation towards American ventures indicate a break not only with the British monarchy, but also, possibly, with Harry's own line of conduct, suggesting a potential divergence of their paths. Meanwhile, the cinematic Mecca of Los Angeles began to show signs of fatigue from the prolonged drama. Previously concluded agreements were put on hold. Press attention noticeably waned, and the audience grew weary of monotonous complaints and grievances. As a result of these events, a new image of Prince Harry emerges, no longer a member of the royal family, but rather a persona alienated from the system, consigned to oblivion even by those who once expressed support for him. Without an official relinquishment of titles or grand declarations, the outcome is clear. The era of the Sussexes is drawing to a close. Only a faint outline remains in memory against an empty stage. But this is merely a prologue to a new chapter in the annals of the British monarchy, where every detail, every word, and every gesture holds immense significance. Ahead, audiences can expect unexpected plot twists, behind-the-scenes intrigues, and fateful decisions that will determine not only the future of the royal family, but also the entire nation. The charity gala transformed from an ordinary event into a symbol of a new era, in which the monarchy desperately tries to find a fragile balance between centuries-old traditions and the demands of modernity. Prince Harry's absence from this gathering was not just noticeable, but a painful signal for many. His attempts to return to the family were met with a wall of coldness and silence, which only emphasized the depth of the rift. The Duke of Sussex, despite all efforts, found himself on the sidelines of events. His name disappeared from official documents, and timid attempts to build bridges with the King and Prince William remained unanswered. This heavy silence proved louder than any words, clearly demonstrating that the monarchy is ready to move forward without his participation. At the same time, Prince William and Kate Middleton continue to strengthen their positions, acting as symbols of renewal and steadfastness. Their active participation in public life, support for charitable initiatives, and ability to connect with the people evoke sincere admiration and support. However, behind the outward facade of unity lie complex internal processes. Relationships between members of the royal family remain tense, and the behind-the-scenes struggle for influence and power continues in the shadows of the palace walls. Every decision and every word is carefully weighed, for not only the throne, but also the future of the entire institution of monarchy is at stake. Public opinion is divided into two camps. Some see the actions of the king and his inner circle as necessary firmness and consistency. Others express regret over the loss of family unity and hope for possible reconciliation. Social media has become an arena for heated discussions, where supporters and opponents of the monarchy exchange views and make predictions. The media continues to closely follow developments, analyzing every step and every statement. The tabloid press does not miss the opportunity to fuel public interest by publishing sensational headlines and exclusive insider stories. At the same time, reputable publications strive to maintain objectivity, offering readers in-depth analysis and expert assessments. In this complex and multifaceted situation, the royal family appears to us not only as a symbol of the state, but also as a living organism, subject to human emotions, conflicts, and ambitions. History continues, and each new day brings new challenges and opportunities. The eyes of the world are now focused on Prince William and Catherine, who embody the dawn of a new era for the British crown. Their innovative approach to the monarchy starkly contrasts with the conservative views of previous generations. They strive for greater transparency, open dialogue with the people, and organic adaptation to the rapidly changing realities of the modern world. This is evident in their active participation in socially significant projects, unwavering support for environmental initiatives, and productive work with the youth, who will shape the nation's future. Catherine, in particular, has earned recognition not only as a future queen, but also as an outstanding individual capable of inspiring and uniting people around common values. Her progressive initiatives in education, healthcare, and comprehensive family support have received widespread acclaim and high praise from experts. She skillfully combines traditional royal duties with addressing the modern needs of society, making her image exceptionally appealing to people from all walks of life. Prince William, in turn, demonstrates a maturity and sense of responsibility beyond his years, consistently advocating for necessary reforms and the modernization of the monarchy as a whole. His statements about the pressing need for evolution and adaptation to new challenges resonate deeply with many Britons. He is profoundly convinced that the monarchy should not merely be a historical symbol, but an active participant in the country's life, making a real contribution to its prosperity. However, it should be noted that not all members of the royal family share such progressive views. King Charles, while acknowledging his son's efforts, still adheres to centuries-old traditions and exercises caution on matters concerning radical changes. His illness and the associated limitations objectively influence the dynamics of power, creating some space for the emergence of new influential figures and the promotion of innovative ideas. Queen Camilla, remaining in her husband's shadow, continues to strive to strengthen her influence at court. Her relationship with Catherine remains strained, which inevitably affects the overall atmosphere within the palace. This hidden struggle for power and recognition is gradually becoming one of the key plot lines, directly influencing the future of the British monarchy. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue their independent path in America, seeking to forge a new identity and find their place in life outside the British crown. Their diverse media projects, active charitable work, and regular public appearances aim to create their own recognizable brand and build an independent image. At the same time, their attempts to definitively distance themselves from the royal family are not always successful. Public opinion, both in the UK and the United States, is gradually changing, and interest in them is steadily declining. This, in turn, negatively impacts their projects, which face funding difficulties and lose their audience. Meghan, in particular, has focused her efforts on developing her own producing and public initiatives, striving to avoid scandals and new conflicts. Her conspicuous silence regarding current events in Windsor is widely regarded as a carefully planned strategic move, aimed at preserving her reputation and maximizing her distance from past disagreements. Internal contradictions between Harry and Meghan are becoming increasingly apparent. Their clashing schedules, differing priorities, and reduced joint public appearances indicate growing complexities in their relationship and their chosen strategy. In these challenging times, the British monarchy faces serious challenges not only domestically, but also on the international stage. Leaders of Commonwealth countries are closely monitoring developments, attempting to assess the potential impact of the crisis on their relations with the UK. Republican sentiments in countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are growing stronger, creating additional pressure on the royal family. These nations are actively discussing the future of the monarchy and the possibility of political reforms, which requires Windsor to take proactive measures and develop an effective strategic course of action. In the current challenging environment, the monarchical system strives to maintain its significance and influence by adapting to modern conditions and societal demands. This requires not only transformations in structure and governance methods, but also a re-evaluation of the royal family's role in the contemporary world. One of the most crucial aspects of the modern monarchy is communication with the press and public opinion. Prince William and Catherine actively use social media and modern communication methods to strengthen their connection with the people. Their Instagram and Twitter pages attract millions of followers, and every appearance draws close attention and discussion. Unlike Harry and Meghan, who often became subjects of criticism and scandals, William and Catherine demonstrate a more thoughtful and balanced approach to publicity. They try to avoid sensitive topics and conflicts, preferring to focus on positive initiatives and social projects. However, this does not mean that their activities proceed without complications. Intrigues and power struggles continue within the palace, and conservative circles do not always approve of innovations. Nevertheless, public support and successes in charity strengthen their positions and create a basis for further transformations. Special attention is paid to environmental issues and sustainable development. The Charity Foundation, managed by William and Catherine, implements large-scale projects aimed at protecting the environment and combating global warming. These initiatives resonate not only in the UK, but also abroad, enhancing the monarchy's international prestige. At the same time, King Charles continues to fulfill his duties despite health problems. In his speeches and statements, he emphasizes the importance of family values, responsibility, and service to the people. However, his role is gradually shifting to the new generation, which is taking over the country's governance. Queen Camilla, despite all difficulties, remains active and continues to participate in public life. Her support for the king and participation in ceremonies demonstrate the monarchy's unity, although tension remains behind the scenes. Internal disagreements and disputes do not prevent the royal family from performing its functions and maintaining stability. However, they are becoming increasingly visible to the public, requiring monarchs to exercise particular discretion and diplomacy. Public opinion continues to change. Young people increasingly express a desire to see a more progressive and open monarchy, which aligns with the course chosen by William and Catherine. At the same time, the older generation maintains respect for traditions and caution in changes. This duality manifests in the country's politics and culture, creating a complex backdrop for the development of the institution of monarchy. In such conditions, the royal family must find a balance between the past and the future, between stability and innovation. An important element of the modern monarchy is the role of women. Catherine, as the future queen, actively promotes ideas of equality, family support, and education. Her work inspires many and serves as an example to follow. She skillfully combines traditional royal duties with modern social initiatives. Despite a challenging relationship with the Princess of Wales, Queen Camilla recognizes the significance of ongoing changes and strives to adapt to new conditions. Her extensive experience and knowledge remain invaluable to the royal family. Yet rivalry and the pursuit of influence sometimes create a tense atmosphere. At the same time, The role of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in the history of the British monarchy is becoming a subject of intense scrutiny and re-evaluation. Their decision to step back from royal duties and subsequent actions have led to significant changes in the perception of the institution and its relevance in society. Many experts agree that the conflict between the brothers and their families reflects deep social and cultural processes related to the transformation of values and public expectations. This is not merely a family drama, but a symbol of the evolution the monarchy is undergoing. In this context, it is crucial to understand that the monarchy is not a static structure, but a living, developing organism capable of adapting and evolving. History shows that it has endured crises and undergone changes numerous times while retaining its essence and significance. Today's events are merely another stage in this evolution. The challenges facing the royal family demand wisdom, patience, and the ability to engage in dialogue. Only in this way can public trust be maintained and the future of the institution secured. Public attention to the monarchy remains consistently high. People closely follow every step, evaluate actions, and express their opinions. This creates additional pressure, but also stimulates the search for new solutions and approaches. The media plays a key role in shaping the monarchy's image. Their task is not only to inform, but also to create the context in which events unfold. In this process, objectivity and responsibility are particularly important to avoid distortions and manipulations. Ultimately, the future of the British monarchy depends on the ability of its representatives to respond to the challenges of the times, maintain connection with the people, and demonstrate an example of service and dedication. A thorough analysis of unfolding events reveals that the denial of Prince Harry's participation in the charity event became a turning point not only for him personally, but also for the entire concept of the modern monarchy. This step by King Charles III marked the definitive shift from a policy of compromise to a stricter stance, excluding any attempts to manipulate the institution of the monarchy. According to palace sources, this decision was made after extensive consultations with key advisors, including the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Lord Chancellor. They unanimously concluded that further concessions to Prince Harry could undermine the institution's authority and set a dangerous precedent for future generations. Particularly painful for the monarch was the realization that his younger son was using family ties as a tool to pressure state structures. Lawsuits against the Home Office, public statements about unfair treatment, and attempts to dictate terms for his return. All of this was perceived as completely unacceptable behavior for a member of the royal family. Prince William, who initially held a softer position towards his brother, now fully supports his father's decision. Insiders report that the heir to the throne is tired of the constant drama and scandals associated with Harry and Meghan. He is convinced that the monarchy must focus on fulfilling its duties to the people, rather than resolving internal family conflicts. Catherine exemplifies composure, refraining from any public statements regarding Prince Harry's situation. Her restraint is seen as a symbol of wisdom and tact, which undoubtedly strengthens her authority as a future queen. The global community's reaction to the unfolding events has been mixed. Heads of Commonwealth states expressed support for King Charles's decision, emphasizing the importance of maintaining the monarchy's stability and unity. However, in certain circles, concerns were raised about potential damage to the British Crown's reputation. American media, which traditionally showed sympathy for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, began to adjust their stance. Authoritative publications such as The New York Times and The Washington Post published analytical pieces criticizing the Sussexes' behavior and questioning the sincerity of their intentions. The reaction of the Hollywood elite was particularly noteworthy. Many celebrities who previously openly supported the couple now prefer to remain silent. This is explained not only by fatigue from the incessant scandals, but also by the realization that association with the Sussexes could negatively impact their own careers. The financial consequences for Prince Harry and Meghan are becoming increasingly tangible. Their Archewell Foundation is experiencing serious difficulties attracting sponsors and partners. Many companies that previously expressed willingness to collaborate with the couple are now reconsidering their plans, fearing reputational risks. Contracts with Netflix and other media companies are also in question. The leadership of these corporations is increasingly questioning the advisability of continued cooperation with a couple whose popularity is steadily declining. At the same time, Prince William and Catherine continue to strengthen their positions as leaders of the new generation of the monarchy. Their initiatives in environmental protection, education, and social support are gaining widespread recognition both in the UK and abroad. Their work with young people has been particularly successful. Programs aimed at supporting young entrepreneurs, combating cyberbullying, and fostering environmental awareness resonate strongly with the younger generation. Catherine is also actively developing her own initiatives in early childhood development. Her research and projects in this area have received recognition from leading universities and research centers, strengthening her authority as a serious public figure. King Charles, despite health issues, continues to actively participate in state affairs. His experience and wisdom remain valuable to the country, especially amidst international instability and economic challenges. Queen Camilla is also finding her role in the new configuration of the monarchy. Her work in supporting victims of domestic violence and promoting literacy is gaining increasing recognition. She skillfully avoids conflicts with Catherine, focusing on her own projects. The internal atmosphere within the royal family is gradually stabilizing. The absence of a constant source of tension in the form of Prince Harry allows other family members to focus on fulfilling their duties. Prince William and Catherine's children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, are growing up in a calmer environment, which positively impacts their development. Their public appearances invariably elicit positive public reaction, strengthening the monarchy's future. In education, there's an active adaptation to modern realities. Within schools and universities, discussions are unfolding about the monarchy's role in the contemporary world, its place in a democratic society, and its ability to respond to the challenges of the times. Religious leaders express unanimous support for the course chosen by the royal family. They emphasize the importance of maintaining stability and unity in challenging times, highlighting the necessity of carefully preserving traditional values while adapting to modern challenges. Economic observers note the positive impact of stabilization within the royal family on the tourism sector and the country's international image. Investors demonstrate growing confidence in the UK's prospects, which immediately reflects in the dynamics of financial markets. Cultural life is experiencing a renaissance. Museums, theaters, and other cultural institutions closely associated with the royal family are gaining new opportunities for development, freed from the burden of constantly reacting to scandalous incidents and disagreements. Sports organizations, many of which are under high royal patronage, express satisfaction with the newfound stability. This allows them to focus on developing sports and achieving new triumphs. The UK's international partners note the country's strengthened position on the world stage. A united and stable monarchy is perceived as a guarantor of reliability and predictability in international relations. The scientific community enthusiastically welcomes the royal family's new direction. Support for scientific research in ecology, medicine, and advanced technologies, provided by Prince William and Catherine, opens new horizons for scientific development. Military circles express satisfaction that the monarchy is once again demonstrating cohesion and stability. This is particularly important amidst international tensions and the need to maintain the country's defense capabilities. Public organizations and charitable foundations are gaining new opportunities to expand their activities thanks to the stabilization of the situation within the royal family. The absence of incessant scandals allows them to focus on addressing pressing social problems. Youth movements actively support Prince William and Catherine's new course. Their progressive approach to solving environmental problems, combating social inequality, and developing education resonates strongly with the younger generation. Women's organizations highly praise Catherine's work. Her efforts in supporting motherhood, combating discrimination, and developing women's entrepreneurship have earned widespread public recognition. Ethnic minorities, despite some concerns related to Meghan Markle's departure, generally support the course towards stabilization and unity. They see this as an opportunity for constructive dialogue and addressing discrimination issues. Elderly people, traditionally a pillar of the monarchy, express satisfaction with the return to stability and order. They highly value respect for traditions combined with a readiness for reasonable transformations. The middle class, which forms the foundation of British society, also supports the new course. Representatives of this social group value stability, predictability, and a responsible approach to their duties. The business community and corporate circles view the stabilization of the British royal family's situation as a positive impetus for the national economy, undoubtedly creating more favorable conditions for attracting investments and stimulating business development across various sectors. Representatives of the creative intelligentsia, despite certain nuances in perception, mostly approve of the chosen course towards modernizing the monarchy while preserving centuries-old traditions, seeing this as a prospect for more productive and harmonious cooperation with the royal court. Regional leaders in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland also express support for the stabilization of the political situation, which gains particular significance in the context of maintaining the unity of the United Kingdom and strengthening ties between its constituent parts. European partners of the UK note the country's strengthened position on the international stage after Brexit. The stability of the monarchical system is perceived by them as a factor contributing to the development and strengthening of mutually beneficial relations with continental European states. Commonwealth realms demonstrate growing support for the renewed British monarchy, and their leaders see Prince William and Catherine as worthy successors, capable of not only preserving but also enhancing ties and strengthening cooperation within the Commonwealth. Developing countries also positively assess the new course taken by the British monarchy, and initiatives aimed at environmental protection and sustainable development are particularly appealing to them. Authoritative international organizations, such as the United Nations, UN, and the World Bank, express readiness for closer cooperation with the renewed monarchy, opening up new opportunities for the UK to actively participate in resolving global problems and contemporary challenges. In conclusion, the decision to deny Prince Harry the opportunity to return to the royal family served as a catalyst for positive transformations within the British monarchy. This difficult but necessary step allowed the institution to free itself from a constant source of tension and focus its efforts on fulfilling its key functions. Prince William and Catherine have successfully assumed the role of leaders of the new generation, demonstrating their ability to combine respect for tradition with a readiness for reasonable and timely changes, and their work finds widespread support both in the UK and abroad. King Charles, despite the difficulties associated with making a tough decision regarding his younger son, demonstrated wisdom and resolve worthy of a true leader, and his choice in favor of institutional stability over personal feelings deserves recognition and understanding. Overall, the future of the British monarchy appears more stable and predictable. Freed from incessant scandals and contradictions, the institution can focus on serving the people and addressing pressing societal problems. Prince Harry's story serves as a vivid reminder that even high social standing and privileges do not exempt one from responsibility and fulfilling commitments, and his choice in favor of personal freedom over service led to entirely predictable consequences. Meghan Markle, by maintaining restraint and distancing herself from escalating conflicts, demonstrates an understanding of the situation, and her decision to focus on developing her own career in the United States of America appears sensible and pragmatic. The British people, having endured a period of uncertainty and tension, ultimately gained a stable and united monarchy capable of successfully responding to the challenges of modernity, which creates a strong foundation for the country's further development and the strengthening of its position on the world stage.